So many of you guys might have heard that the Biden administration wants to bring Palestinian refugees to America. It would, of course, be limited by those who qualify, a seemingly onerous number of stipulations like having a relative in America who is a permanent resident or a citizen. But I'm going to tell you something. We need to nip this in the bud. I personally have seen what goes on in Europe when you bring people whose culture is very disagreeable with yours and then who try to impose their culture upon thee, where people are scared to go out or say something that might offend the noble religion of Islam. Now, for the record, I have spent time in the Middle East. I was in Syria right before everything blew up, and I'm going to tell you a very brief story that I was in the desert oasis town of Palmyra, and we met somebody that was going to take us out into the desert. And being me, I was talking with him about something political. And I asked him about the Danish cartoonist who had published an image of Muhammad. And he said, yes, for this person deserves to suffer, deserves death. And I said, but Haji, that was his nickname, it's just an image. What if I drew a stick figure and I labeled it Muhammad and I drew a stick figure in the air? And he looked at me with glowering eyes and a scowl and said very, very confrontationally, but seemingly pleasantly, but the subtext was there. Oh, Richard, I know you. You would never do something like that. This is a completely different belief system that doesn't comport with one of liberal values and free speech. And we're seeing that in England. So why should we allow Palestinians to come to our nation who have been taught to hate Jewish people, to hate America, who chant death to America like they do on college campuses? Why should we even open the door a crack with a few thousand people? No, thank you. Because you know what happens when we crack that door open? These people, these socialists in charge of the Biden administration, pulling on his puppet strings, are just going to kick that door open a little further, and then wide open. This is the destruction of the United States. I don't want to live next to such people. It's not the individual person that I necessarily have a problem with, because there are plenty of fine, decent Muslim people out there. But if you want to take a subset of the Muslim population that has been positively indoctrinated with hatred, with a desire to kill Jews and death to America. Do we want to import this? Do we want the same thing that we see happening in London to be taking place in the United States? No, thank you. Do not even open this door a little bit, because they will just blast it open. That slippery slope thing, now that is real. And so I have to push back and I have to say, no, I do not want arsonists and murderers to enter into my house party. Just not a few of them, even if I have a huge mansion like Bill Gates. No, thank you. Because it eventually rises to a critical mass, and then we have what's going on in London. No. And again, this is from somebody who spent a decent amount of time in the Middle East on multiple occasions.
There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
And should we not heed an Emirati official who warned the West about importing such people with such belief systems. They run counter to the liberal values of the West, and it will only serve to divide the United States further and to destroy us. So Biden, socialist, Democrats, I am never, ever going to even consider voting for you guys again as I used to if you bring one Palestinian refugee. There is a reason why the rest of the world does not want to take these refugees. Why Egypt and Jordan and Lebanon will refuse to take those on the Gaza Strip because they've been bathed in a vat of toxicity and hatred. And frankly, I care enough for my children and for my country to not want to bring that intentionally here, even in limited doses, that you will almost certainly expand and pour the whole vat of that toxic stew into America. But that's what the Biden administration is doing on a regular basis and why they need to be voted out of office. What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments. Peace.